The dais for a couple of special presentations. So we have an extremely multi-talented person in Belmar, a very young woman, who, if you've ever run the Belmar 5 miler, I've run it slower and slower every year, but even at that, sometimes she would come out and sing the national anthem. She has been remarkable through elementary school and through high school. So we want to honor her today and ask her to come up with her parents. So Jade Glab, if you come up to the front, let's hear for Jade. So here is a resolution honoring Jade Glab. Whereas Jade Glab has been a lifelong resident of Belmar, and whereas Jade is the daughter of Don and Patricia, or Ron and Patricia Glab on 12th Avenue. Whereas Jade graduated from Belmar Elementary School and Red Bank Regional High School, she is currently attending Brookdale Community College with intentions to transfer to Rutgers University to pursue a degree in finance or accounting. And whereas Jade is a person with many talents, including singing and playing the guitar, flute, and piano. And whereas Jade has performed at the Belmar Elementary School Idol Contest, the Jersey Idol Contest, the Big Joe Henry Singing Competition, and for the Lakewood Blue Claws, and at the Stone Pony. And whereas Jade has added to her resume by recently being crowned Miss Monmouth County on December 10, 2017. And this summer, she will be competing for the Miss New Jersey crown, which puts her one step closer to the Miss America crown. Whereas, through this endeavor, Jade has spent many hours volunteering at many organizations throughout the state as well. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar take great pride and congratulate Jade Glab on all of her accomplishments and wish her the very best of luck in the Miss New Jersey pageant. We hope to watch her on TV representing our town of Belmar and New Jersey at the Miss America pageant. Let's hear it for Jade.
Sure. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to the mayor and all the council people for having me here and honoring me at the council meeting. It's such an honor to be able to represent the town of Belmar at the Miss New Jersey pageant. I've been a resident here all my life, and I'm so excited to represent you all. Thank you.
Jade's mom and dad, Ron and Patricia, and also, Patricia is also a teacher at Belmar Elementary School as well, and Ron is I don't want to say retired because you're far too young, but he served enough time in the sheriff's department so that he's able to relax a little bit now. So, but everyone, let's hear for the Glabs. Next, I'd like to bring up two outstanding professionals in our police department, one dispatcher, one police officer. Unfortunately, someone made a bad decision and jumped off the bridge between Belmar and Avon and landed in the Shark River and put themselves at great risk. And by doing so, our police department responded. So I want to bring up the police officer and also the dispatcher who was on duty then and saved this gentleman's life. It was just a little while ago, so you know what the weather's been like. Imagine going into the water to get someone. So if I could call up Patrolman Larry Kelly. All right. There's a resolution honoring police officer Lawrence Kelly and dispatcher officer Anita Leather for their exemplary performance in the water rescue of January 16th, 2018. And it had to be like, what, 4 degrees for a high that day. Whereas, on January 16, 2018, an emergency occurred in the Shark River Inlet near the Main Street Bridge wherein an individual was in the middle of the frigid river in critical distress, and whereas dispatch officer Anita Leather calmly and professionally managed the 911 call, swiftly dispatching Belmar police, first aid, and water rescue while securing the accurate location of the distraught subject so that the police were able to respond quickly and on scene. Whereas police officer Lawrence Kelly quickly assessed the situation on scene and secured, with permission, an unsecured kayak, which, by the way, they don't teach you this in any academies you ever go to. This is truly a natural gift. An unsecured kayak in the Fifth Avenue docks, and with quick thinking and without hesitation, Patrolman Kelly made his way to the subject in distress in below freezing temperatures. And whereas Police Officer Kelly, using constructive authority and quick thinking, we're not going to talk about the language used, just constructive authority, controlled the panic subject to safely bring the individual to shore for medical attention. And whereas, while the actions of both Officer Leather and Officer Kelly on January 16, 2018 were exemplary, they illustrate the actions and protections that our dispatch and police professionals do every day to ensure the safety of all of those in Belmar. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar hereby recognize and honor Dispatch Officer Anita Leather and Police Officer Lawrence Kelly for their heroic actions that resulted in saving a life on January 16, 2018. Therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar thank Dispatch Officer Anita Leather and Police Officer Lawrence Kelly for their determination and professionalism. It is the actions of our officers like this that make us a strong and successful Belmar Public Safety Department. We are proud to have you both protecting all of those in Belmar. Let's hear for both.
The Mayor and Council for giving us this award here. And the Mayor actually stole my thunder about the commandeering the kayak. I want to thank that person who left that kayak and that paddle, so I was able to go out there and rescue the gentleman with the help of plenty of other members on the other side of the island. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to thank everybody. It's been a real pleasure working here, and this is my retirement year, so I want to appreciate you all.
That's not true. We're not Is it true everything you've learned from your brother? Is that that's the number in town?
That is not true because I am older than him. So that would be nice try.
Can I get the mayor and council all on the line with our officer and dispatcher so we can get just a group family photo?
I'm gonna put Jen in front of you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
So we'll give you guys all an opportunity to answer this one. Stay for the rest of the council meeting. Let's get something. You should say something. Thank you. Next up on our agenda is our workshop. The only thing we have listed on our workshop is our friends from Verizon. So Verizon made a presentation at our last council meeting regarding free Wi-Fi at our beachfront in exchange for them putting up poles for their 5G network. So if our friends from Verizon would like to come up to the microphone, just state your name for the record again.
Good evening, Commissioner. It's Bob McGuckin from Tilson Technologies. We're authorized representative of Verizon Wireless.
And Colleen, where are we with Verizon Wireless at this point?
Well, I want to thank Mr. McGuckin, he's been great. We've had a lot of back and forth, taking the feedback of the members of council at the last meeting, feedback from members of the public after the news articles. And so where we are now, just in terms of nuts and bolts on the term, essentially, when they were here 2 weeks ago, it was discussed a free public Wi-Fi for a period of no less than 2 years. That is now a term of no less than 5 years. The term of the right-of-way agreement for their antennas and related telecommunications equipment would stay at 40, is their proposal. And they've asked for some additional consideration for potential nodes in the future, although that would need to be worked out with Mr. Cannon in terms of if additional, Bob could probably explain it better than I can, if additional nodes are needed to boost the existing network, maybe let's say in the beach block along Ocean Avenue, they would like to be able to come back and ask for those.
That is correct. We're anticipating, obviously, continual increased use. And to address that, we would like the authority in the future to add 10 nodes throughout the borough as the need arises.
And those nodes would support the Wi-Fi, or those nodes would support
That's for the cellular
boost?
portion.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I'm glad you're looking at 5 years on free Wi-Fi for Belmar instead of 2. I prefer it to be 10. But tell me about the 40 years. Because to put it in perspective, 40 years ago, right, we'd probably be talking about rotary dial payphones. So in 40 years from now, not sure how many of us are going to be here, but in 40 years from now, are we really are you gonna be using those poles anyway? Like, why 40 years?
It's our standard term of length, which allows us to kind of occupy the space with confidence, I would say, in that we can address future needs, and it gives us the security to be confident in the investment in which we're making. If 40 years is a number that you're less than comfortable with, I don't have the authority tonight to address that, but I could see if that number could be amended.
Could you speak up, please?
I apologize.
I just do think that 40 years is a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And in full disclosure, I did ask Mr. McGuckin, researched back at his shop, if after the period of free Wi-Fi ended, could there be rents or some kind of consideration for the balance of that 40 years paid to the Borough of Belmar? And apparently that's not permitted.
It's not permitted, and it's against policy, so that would be affirmed now.
And rent for the poles.
Past the Wi-Fi period, was my ask, but.
I just gotta imagine, I mean, in 5 years, who knows, right? I mean, Wi-Fi is popular now and it's necessary. In 5 years, I mean, who knows? I mean, you may have a faster cellular than you could on Wi-Fi anyway. But I think 5 years is a good time frame for us. I just have a tough time with.
For our end too, I mean, that's, those 3 extra years equates to millions of dollars.
What do we anticipate the 6th year?
Yeah, what happens year 6 for Wi-Fi?
For Wi-Fi, I believe that the Verizon Wireless would be in a position where I think the parties could discuss year 6.
I don't know if everything was disassembled
Yeah, I
or
mean,
removed.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if everything was disassembled or removed and.
I don't think it's a hard end date. I believe it's a term for no less than 5 years. What I believe Mr. Zaliga mentioned at his last visit was that it would be a conversation. Is it cost prohibitive to continue? Is this something that maybe you would want to start charging for? Is it obsolete? It's no longer needed.
Well, who would charge for it? Verizon would charge for it? In year 6
For Wi-Fi?
for Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume, yeah, potentially, that, I mean, they've committed to 5 years of free Wi-Fi.
Correct.
Year 6, that conversation may change. It's a trial program for Verizon
I
as
mean,
well.
year 6, you know, who knows what the technology is?
I agree.
But I just think I have a tough time wrapping my head around 40 years. That's,
Yeah, I can say that that's our standard term in the contract that I provide throughout New Jersey.
Do you guys monetize that? Is that what the term has to be done about? Do you take this kind of franchise and then monetize it through someone else in the secondary market?
I mean, that's a component, but it also has enough length in there that we're confident in that investment. There's multiple factors.
Okay.
You really think there's something you're gonna be able to do with it for 40 years and it's gonna make the contract worth your while? I mean, I think the mayor's analogy is really quite appropriate. I mean, you know, we talk about the difference between rotary phones and what we have now. And I don't need to tell you that the technology is changing faster and faster than ever. And, you know, the speed of technology is just mind-boggling. The idea that you're locked into something for 40 years that you might really want to get rid of before then, I think you
Well, that's why you won't pay
consider
rent, right? You won't pay rent because you don't know if you need it 25, 30, 40 years from now.
Yeah, we just currently have a firm policy against rent. So
Because it could be useless to you, pay rent on something useless in year 12.
it's a factor.
I'm just trying to understand the
Yeah,
business.
and that's a factor.
So-
So essentially too, it's the 40 years is for the space, not so much what's on it, if that makes sense. So, that's part of the logic that goes
The
into it.
space, you mean the space?
For the pole, you know, and to occupy that portion of, in this situation, excuse me, in this situation, we flew people along.
Right,
So for the council, there's two different, as far as I can tell, there's two different markets here, right? So your company locks up space. Verizon is paid on basically transmitting data. So the equipment that you're putting on the poles is Verizon equipment. Their interest is transmitting that data and charging customers for it. Your interest is, as the company, SQL or
SQF,
SQF, forgive me. Their interest is in locking up that real estate. Because right now, the people who run the pods and poles and everything, are the people who are delivering the video to your phone and paying Verizon, who's then paying you for the space. So 35 years from now, maybe some other company with SQF would be the person who has that real estate. So right now, it's like a real estate grant, essentially, is really what it is, to try and find the spot to support the network that delivers the data that feeds Verizon, to keep the system flowing. That's how it works from a business perspective, as I understand it. Of course, you're in the business, so
Sure.
please correct me.
But it's not all we do, but it's a component, correct?
And if some new technology came along that would need that real estate, you would have that available to you.
Potentially.
But what are we gonna use the pole for? We just want light. I mean, 40 years from now, we want light, you know? It's gonna be there, so whether or not you use it for an antenna or something else, as long as the lights come on when it gets dark, I think that's, all that pole is needed for Borough Belmar.
And the light will be there.
Will be there in 40 years. And if there isn't an antenna on it, we still need the light for 40 years. Pole. I don't see where the gain, loss or gain is by having them have it for 40 years.
It's an interesting question, Council President, one we haven't discussed yet, which is if, let's say, in year 32, it's decided that that project has no value and as QF is looking to abandon, is there just now a large extension hanging up into the air for no reason every third pole? Or is would it be taken down and the old poles replaced?
I believe the version of the agreement that you have has language in there that says that we would restore it.
Restored to the
Restore,
old height,
correct.
okay. So
All right,
we
so
would-
if it became obsolete, because again, who know, I mean, there wasn't a Verizon 40 years ago, right? I mean, it was all Novell, I
Yeah,
think.
probably all.
They'll tell
So in 40 years from now, when I'm 84 years old, Tom Volker's still around for some reason. You know, these things you may not use them, so the agreement is, you would take down every third pole that we have now. You would fabricate a new pole to mimic what we have up there now, aside from this one part that would have your 5G now, plus the Wi-Fi. And then you hold on to the old light bulbs, and then 30 years from now, it becomes obsolete with the technology you're putting in 2018. In 2048, you would put up the old light poles, in theory?
In theory, I mean, technically, they're your poles, if you wanted to store them, you could as well. There's, some of the details that,
And what do you think the total cost, investment-wise, is on Verizon's or the CLEC side, and also maintaining the Wi-Fi for 5 years?
as we discussed the current, well, it's more now because it is 5 years. At 2 years, the total project was approximately $4 million. So I'm being told that there's additional years equal millions.
So over $4 million investment on your side.
Well over $4 million.
Any other questions? Mark?
I don't have any other questions, but we are hearing from Verizon, and they are one company. And to me, they're like a vendor that's putting things on borough property. So I think that maybe we should look at a few other companies and see what's out there and what's available to us. I mean, before we make a decision to go with Verizon, because there's a lot of other companies, and maybe they would compensate us for it. Because, I mean, to me, they're a vendor, and they're going up on the beachfront. They're there to make money. So, I mean, to me, it's like any other vendor, whether we're going to request bids or go out for a bid process to look at a few different companies before we make the decision on Verizon. They might have the best deal, but we're only hearing from one side right now, so.
That's a good point.
I would just like to add, if I may, that I think it's important to note that Verizon picked Belmar, through John's efforts, but, we wanted to bring this project here. I just asked that not go lost on the council.
No, I think the issue is that I don't like anyone doing this. We have research doing Wi-Fi up on the beachfront. It's off the charts expensive, right? I mean, the last couple of years.
We did an RFP, if council remembers, I think approximately 3 years ago, where it was a different business model. We were looking for someone to install the necessary equipment so that we could offer free Wi-Fi to our beachgoers, but at our cost. And they were prohibitively expensive. This is certainly turning that notion around the other way, and allowing a private entity to install that equipment, bear the cost of it. But to Councilman Walsifer's point, Greg, I don't know if you have any input in terms of how a project like this, what makes this different from a concession or vendor? That has to be publicly bid.
So Verizon, you have a statewide franchise. Some are, long story short, the overarching regulation here is the Federal Telecommunications Act, which essentially encourages companies like Verizon or other private entities, all of them, we can name any of them, to expand the infrastructure network to create, a new grid, or whatever the new technology is. When you come to the state level, regulated by the Board of Public Utilities. So Verizon, in particular, has the statewide franchise for the cable and the other lines you see running through the rights of way. What we're talking about here is using, for example, the 10 sites is really what I'm like to shift your focus on for the moment. Okay, the 10 additional sites, they're allowed to be in the right of way. Actually, they can sue us to end up in the right of way. So giving up the 10 additional sites isn't necessarily a huge concession because they can come in and Telecommunications Act protects them from us irrationally preventing them from putting new power lines. Same thing with GCP&L, all the utilities. So they have a right to be in the right of way, but there's a statute in New Jersey law where the municipality has to grant permission. And the notion is we don't want them putting up 20 by 20 boxes on top of poles. You can see river blocking the sun or affecting property owners. They have to do it in compliance with local zoning regulations. And so you get down from the top, which is we have the right to be here, through, well, we have the right to be here with some conditions. So with respect to those 10 alternate sites, I understand most of them pertain to existing poles.
Ideally.
Okay. So the poles are owned by GCP&L. They already had your permission, obviously, to be there, as well as the DPU's permission. In that regard, legally, you just pass a resolution authorizing, they provide you pictures of the equipment, if they like they did last time, the things that you like, you'd say, I like this color, that color, what have you, look more like a transformer, and you just pass a resolution, it makes it very easy. So that's the aspect of the pods and the right-of-way expanding the network. That stuff is generally controlled by people above us. Now the boardwalk, that Mr. McGuck and I had many conversations in the last 3 weeks since we were here last, regarding whether or not the boardwalk is a right-of-way or not, because those rules that I just described apply to the rights of way. They don't apply to something like a water tower owned by the borough. That's why you have an actual lease and agreements passed by ordinance for those type of property rights. So the beach is, we haven't come to, because we weren't sure if the governing body was going to move forward with it, we have not really determined yet whether the light poles we're talking about are in the right of way. We both suspect they are because they're close enough to the road, and that's a wide road. And after the chief educated us profoundly on the width of roads, we're pretty sure that those light poles are in the right of way. If they are not, then we'll have to do a lease, like as if Verizon was putting equipment on a cell phone tower or some other borough property. Like for example, up North Jersey, they have tall municipal buildings that almost always cell towers on the top generate revenue. And then that's a different animal. So with respect to the question as to whether it needs to be figured out, the right of way with the pods and everything can be done just as a matter of right. It's not a bid. With respect to the latter, if it's in the right of way, it's pretty simple to handle. If it is on borough property, we're going to have to do a little more legwork and checking into how we can go about doing that in compliance with the Public Contracts Act law, as well as Chapter 40, which designates how you guys designate land use rights and leases and things like that. I anticipate it being relatively simple once you guys are comfortable with the business terms. You've focused mostly in the last 3 weeks on business terms.
Correct.
Because we didn't want to move forward with memorial and things.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'd rather keep the 10 nodes separate for this discussion.
Not sure I'm very authorized to do that. For the 5 years, if you want 5 years, if you want 5 years. My current instructions is it needs to be bundled, a bundled approval.
What do you think about that?
I prefer to discuss that privately with council, if that would be okay with you guys.
I didn't know, what was your question, Matt? I didn't hear that.
So what we're asking for is 5 years of free Wi-Fi in exchange for the 40 years up on the beachfront. And what they're adding is 10 nodes throughout town. What Greg's saying is they can get those nodes anyway.
I'll note, I don't want to give legal advice to the public. I'll note that the state of the law is that under the Federal Communications Act, that's different than putting up new poles or new sites. On existing poles, it would be very difficult for the borough to stop them from doing it anyway.
So the new nodes wouldn't include new poles?
Correct, and we'd be talking about zoning and pole relocations, and you have to use separate resolutions. But if it's a blanket bundle package, you could give them the right to use existing poles within any of the rights of way of the borough, and they would likely have a pretty strong legal right to that if you denied them in any event.
I prefer not to exclude new poles, like new utility pole, only because there are some prohibiting factors on the existing poles, which under JCP&L rules and the status of the pole may not allow for a node to be put on a pre-existing pole, which sometimes requires a new utility pole being set.
It's not, I mean, this stuff is not, and I know everyone's flashing the 85-foot pole that was on 17th Ave, so everybody's mind. You know, pole relocations are not uncommon every time there's street repairs and things like that by JCP&L. Adding new poles makes them subject to the zoning requirements and other applications beyond what we're talking about in terms of what the borough will be able to agree to. So we wouldn't be able to provide that. Check with Mr. Kennedy on this, he just came up today, your zoning board attorney.
Right.
But I don't think we can negotiate away the zoning rules on new poles. Existing poles are pretty clear that you should give them a blanket rec.
I don't think we can, or I don't think we should. I'm curious, when you say about around the borough, I mean, do you have any, you don't have any idea where you're talking about particularly, is you coming up, is the 10 number just like a safe number that you want to be able to deal with? Is that the idea?
Can you give them an idea of the general vicinity of where we think?
Yeah, I mean, where are we talking about?
We'd have to do a study on what they refer to as exhaust, and keep in mind, I'm not an RF engineer. But the thought being that as the amount of users increase, we want to not find ourselves in a situation where somebody has very good coverage near the beach or on the boardwalk, and then walks 3 blocks away, 4 blocks away, and the coverage isn't the same. So as Verizon can gauge the use and do more RF studies, you may determine, okay, well, this is a shallow spot, we need one here, we need one on the far side of town.
So within about 3 or 4 blocks of Ocean Avenue, I think is the target area?
It's probably fair.
Ish.
Yeah, I mean,
You're talking about like basically expanding and keeping a quality, a consistent quality of service as you move away from the beach.
that's the goal, or looking at the goal in the future.
Other heavy uses,
John, I can vote.
if you don't mind, basically, the other,
Sorry, John, just wait,
nodes.
John, just wait to get the microphone.
John Zilliga, External Affairs for Verizon. The other uses that Verizon Wireless is looking to help are where there's exhaust, where you have a lot, and that's what we see, the prime example is on the beachfront, where you have X amount of people in the winter, you have many thousands in the summer, and they're all on their phones. Other areas of town that see exhaust would be, and this is something that you were asking for, Mayor, in our previous conversations. What about you, when I say that, you said it more or less, what about? What about the downtown area? Yes, the downtown area gets a large influx of people for events and things like that. What about the marina area? Those are other areas that these nodes could be located in, because that's where RF engineers find exhaust. And what exhaust means is, there's charts that they see. The last one I saw was at Monmouth University. And the they were charting every call that was coming in. And then it was noting all the calls that weren't going through or were being dropped. And the big thing in Monmouth University, as the example, is that this is my personal experience, is that when kids are in session, completely different. When kids aren't in session, the neighborhood is fine. But when the kids are in session, they're all walking around with their phones. I mean, it's a different world. And your points are well taken, Mayor and Council. Who knows what 4 years is going to hold? But right now, everybody's got a smartphone, and everybody's looking for connectivity. I just hope I cleared that up a little bit.
Thank you. Well, why don't we do this so that we can get a chance to talk to our zoning board attorney and take a look at Councilman Walsifer's concerns to see if there are any other, because in my estimation, I don't think there are any other folks out there like Verizon. I mean, there are some people that may promise us the moon and the stars above, but this is a company that I think can deliver. But what if we kept talking with them, find out a little bit more about the 10 nodes, digest the 40 years for 5 years, and if the council wants to move forward with a resolution at our next council meeting, which is in 2 weeks, have you guys come back, and if we have an agreement, we have an agreement.
Is that timeline viable for Verizon?
It's getting late in the season for us. The goal of this project has been and remains Memorial Day. And we're getting to a point where we may miss deadlines and they may reevaluate the project because of that.
All right, so I mean, we're talking about.
I just got one more question. Would you need CAFR approval since we're so close to the beach? For putting these units up?
I don't believe so.
No, it's too far.
I know, because a couple of years ago, when they wanted to put the big flagpoles up with cell service on the top of the flagpoles. I know CAFR was involved, and CAFR turned the project down.
I'll tell you when we get to the point where you guys have agreed on business terms, we're going to pull the CAFRA, all the plans and stuff for the boardwalk to determine that right-of-way question preliminarily legally. So we can have Lisa take a look at that as well.
Yeah, because a few years ago, there was a company coming in, they wanted to put 4 flagpoles on the beachfront. And when it got to CAFRA, it was turned down to CAFRA, and they couldn't do it.
Okay.
And it could be, because when we reconstructed the boardwalk, we didn't we didn't have to get any permits from CAFR because we were building within the existing footprint.
Right.
And so, we will triple check to make sure that an adjusted height wouldn't trigger something. I don't believe it would. That pole is in the same pole footprint as the old pole.
I think these companies know what each other's doing. I'm sure that AT&T knows what Verizon's doing. And when you came to our meeting 3 weeks ago, you would have gotten a phone call the next day from probably AT&T thinking of doing something similar in Belmar. I think if AT&T wanted to do it, we would have heard from them by now. I'd hate to take this too long and see if Verizon takes this to Long Branch or to Manasquan. I think this is a great opportunity for Belmar. And if the people have the free Wi-Fi by Memorial Day, I think that's going to be a great start to our summer season. I wouldn't want to wait too long. Pass this up.
I think it's a big issue, and I want to see it done right. So even if it took we didn't have it till next summer, but I'd rather see it done right than just push it through.
I would like to see it done this summer, but I think I'd be more comfortable making a decision in 2 weeks if we're going to move in that direction. And if you tell me, listen, that may miss Memorial Day, it's a long summer. Obviously, I prefer to have it in before the Seafood Festival, to be very honest with you. But, if not that, then Memorial Day. But, I think, to do another 2 weeks, make sure we get it right, get a little bit more public feedback, because, we're making a decision on something that's going to outlast all of us, more than likely.
Except for Tom Bull.
Except for Tom Voter. But would you guys, what do you think about that?
I think so. I think, I actually, Borough Council President and Councilman Mulsford, I agree with both of them. I really want to make it really clear, free Wi-Fi on the beach is something we want to have. We definitely want to have it, but we just want to make sure we do it right. The mayor's right, it's a long time you're talking about it. We want to make sure we're not burdening someone in the future because of a mistake we make now.
And I will tell you, the other thing that complicates it, so since it did become public, people have contacted me about it, and are like, hey, we can do Wi-Fi for you guys. I'm like, that's awesome. And like, here's how we do it. And because we're a public entity, they're talking about how we have to get people to advertise. I'm like, well, we haven't bid that out, I think. Like, it's a very, very messy process if we do it versus if a vendor comes in and does it. It's clean, it's neat, it's a lot simpler for us to administer because there's really nothing to administer, if that makes sense. And then also, we're responsible for whatever content may go on there or not. In this case, you guys are. So God forbid somebody's doing something that they shouldn't do up on the beachfront, and they're using, your Wi-Fi or your cell towers. It's not on us versus if we own it, right? And we're trying to pay for it with revenue that we're going to generate from advertising that we have to go out and bid for. It's a lot messier. And those are the folks that approached me once it became public. So I think it's a cleaner approach. I would just rather have the opportunity for the council to mull it over for another 2 weeks.
Would the 2 weeks make or break the deadline? Is that how?
Frankly, it would be close. I don't want to sit here tonight and say, no, I think it's a deal breaker. But it puts additional stress on an already stressed timeline.
And is this something we should have looked into the past 2 weeks? I know it can't change, but some of these issues with these kind of just.
No, we did, and Colleen's been going back and forth with them. Again, people have approached me.
Very helpful.
I told
We
Colleen
talked
about it.
5-6 times.
Yeah, but again, I think it's worth engaging the zoning board attorney and also finding out where those 10 nodes may be. And are we talking 10 new poles, and are we talking, within 4 blocks of the ocean, or are we talking,
The biggest thing from my
closer
perspective
to about
is,
35?
they've asked for things that are, I described to you the ordinary process for right of way. This is a very, very unique project. So, one of I just want to make sure we don't agree to do something that turns out that we couldn't have delegated away, like the zoning authority, how you go to the places and location. So I would like 2 more weeks as well, if that's clear.
I think it's just worth taking the time to make sure we can dot the i's and cross the t's. I mean, we want it to happen, but we don't, like I said, we want to make sure it gets done right.
So if I could capture, what I believe I've heard is, Mr. McGuffin and I will keep working on language and parameters for the 10 additional nodes, specificity there. And ask SQF and Verizon to look into the term of 40 years and to see if there's anything less that would be agreeable. Is that what I've heard today?
Right, I mean, I guess you think about it, 30 years versus 40 years.
Well, I put a question mark next to
Might as
it.
well make it 100
Maybe
years.
see
What's
what the answer is, and then perhaps, because I am hearing I am hearing the concern from council members of, if this is going to break the project, make or break the project, if it is at all possible, if it looks like it is going to break the project, maybe you could let us know and give us time to respond before a final decision is made.
But I think I'll let Councilman Walser speak for himself, but I'm pretty excited about this opportunity and this project. This would be great for our town. But I just think giving it 2 more weeks to make sure we get it right. But I think Council President McGovern has a good point too. This is a gift horse that we're looking at the math here, so we don't want to turn it down.
Have other towns contacted you when they heard that you might be coming to Belmar?
It's something I have to work out, they wouldn't contact.
Just ignore them.
Don't take their call.
Don't take their call.
But there are,
Just go.
I
Get the
know,
voicemail.
yeah, from what I understand, other municipalities are watching and are interested. So it's a great project.
It is.
If they call to say you have a bad connection.
You're in a bad note.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Workshop? Do you need Colin or no?
Probably, I just want to talk about a minute about the lifeguard issue about, I know it just brought to my attention today, I don't know when everybody else got it, but the administrative staff and going out to look for another administrative staff for the lifeguards. I'm just wondering, do we want to look at all those positions? I mean, because normally if you put a department head in place, they want to have a lot of say-so into the rest of the positions that are going to be filled, or the people that are there, if they're going to stay. But, it just seems like to go out for all of these positions all at once and putting a whole team in place without having input of the guy that's going to be running it seems a little bit excessive. So I didn't know how the rest of the council feels, the mayor of the council feels about it.
What do you, sorry, I lost me on that.
In other words, we're voting on a resolution tonight to go out and look for a whole new administrative staff for the lifeguards, everybody in place. And thinking about it, I said, if we went out to look for, we're going to look for a new head lifeguard or whatever we're going to do in that position, maybe the lifeguard, the head lifeguard is in place is going to be the best position. But we've been voting on a resolution to do a whole complete shakeup of the whole administrative staff. And normally what you would do is you would look to replace maybe the department head and let him have some input on who he wants working for. So I think to go out for the whole administrative staff might be a little bit
I think
excessive.
And I would tell you that the request comes from the chief of police, who's ultimately the head of public safety that the lifeguards report to. But I think you make a fair point. So, I think that through the process, would you think it'd be smart to select the top person and then get their input as to who number 2, 3, 4 would be? Is that what
Normally that's what you would want to do. It's like putting a chief of police in place or putting all the captains and lieutenants in place. We actually have a person that's going to run the place. So You know, you would want to put like the head guy in and let him have the input of who he would, and even if you're going out to look for other people, you would want his input on who he's going to be working on.
Right. No, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I guess the way I looked at it was the chief of police is the head, and then whoever is any lifeguard from the top down, it's all under him. But I think in the order of looking at and recruiting and trying to find personnel, I think it makes sense, like you were saying, to say, listen, let's interview, let's make sure we find the top person first, and then take that person's input
Right.
on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes.
Yeah, because that's, that's who's going to.
But this resolution just has all of it at one time.
All of it at one time.
So the way Colleen can administer it, what Councilman Walsh was saying is, why not have whoever's going to be the top, the head of the lifeguards, the director, have that person's input when selecting 2, 3, 4,
That
whoever,
is absolutely the
which makes
intent.
sense. So
Yeah,
but that can happen under this resolution,
Absolutely.
as opposed to just saying, you're right, as opposed to saying, all right, we're going to take these 4 guys, and this is your job, this is your job, you're the
Correct.
head, and you have these 2 people you're looking for.
Right, exactly.
No, you're right.
He's going to be basically the department head. And you want, once that person's in place, you want them to have the input of who's going to be 2, 3, and 4.
That is
No, we'll do it
absolutely
the
the
way you're
intent. The reason why all positions are listed at one time is simply the summer's coming quickly. And we want to recruit these positions.
That was one question. I mean, we can take applications for all the positions
That's
at
the
the same
idea.
time. We don't have to pick the first person and then start the process for the people further down the ladder.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not the way the resolution's read. Written. It's written that you could be putting in 2, 3, 4, and 5 in place before you put the top guy.
Right, but we will put the top guy, or woman, top person, first, and then use their input to select 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
And absolutely, what this resolution specifically authorizes is that we commence a search for all of these positions, and that a search committee make recommendations to the appointing authority. The intent always is to find a director and perhaps an assistant director first, because we want the team formed under the new director's leadership.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But we want to open the pipe of resumes coming in for all positions as soon as possible, which is why they're all moving as a package.
Because it's February.
Correct.
That makes sense?
No, I get it, but it's not the way it's written, but I get it.
Any other items for workshop discussion? Seeing none, I'll close our workshop discussion and move on to petitions. Any petitions for the mayor and council? I don't see any. Next, approval of the minutes.
Okay. I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 17th, 2018 be approved as recorded and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Dyer?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Montgomery?
Yes.
Next are reports of council. Council President Montgomery, let's start us off with reports.
Yes, last week I went out to the JCP&L Power Center that controls the storm outages and how JCP&L prepares for the storms. Very, very interesting. And without trying to bore you, emphasize that if your lights go out, your power goes out, you should call 1-888-LIGHTS, even though your neighbor called. Okay? The more people that call, it's better for them to target where the problem is. Do not think that if your neighbor called, that they know about your house being also out. So in other words, if we have a storm and your lights go out, make sure you call, go to your neighbor, make sure that they call, go down the block, make sure that they call. The more people that call, the sooner your lights will go back on, because they target the areas where the most lights or power outages are. And they do safety first, so they, if there's wires down, they'll go through the neighborhood, they'll take care of the safety problems first before they start turning the power on, which just makes sense. Also, while I was there, I was able to talk to their forestry supervisor, and they're going to come to a Shade Tree Commission meeting next week and talk about their tree trimming schedule in Belmar and what they plan on doing, because quite honestly, trees are the one of the major factors of power outages during storms. Tree limbs come down. So talk to us about the trimming of the trees to the Shade Tree Commission so that we're all on the same page. Next Tuesday, week from tonight, 7 p.m. at the new community center on 7th Avenue and D Street, the Belmar Historical Society is having a show and tell. So if you have anything from your attic, your closets, your basement, your garage, that is long-time Belmar photographs or something of interest, please come down next week. And it's very, very interesting. If you don't have something, come to the meeting and just sit in and listen to what some of the people in Belmar have had from their grandparents or their neighbors. It really gets to be pretty interesting. So it's a show and tell, Belmar Historical Society, next Tuesday, 7 p.m., 7th Avenue and D Street. Many people don't know it, but Belmar has an Operation Reassurance program, where our Belmar Police Department calls senior citizens that are living alone. And they call them every day and make sure that they answer the phone, make sure everything is fine. Now, I came across this during the snowstorm because it was snowing heavily, a couple weeks ago, and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the police pull up to a home because the woman did not answer her phone. She just didn't answer it, but in other words, if they don't answer the phone, our police go to the house, go to the apartment, and check on this person. It seems like there's not enough people on this list. There's only about, Tina, do you know?
14.
Only 14. I'm sure there's more than 14 senior citizens in Belmar that would benefit from this program. So every day, we give them a call. They answer it, let us know they're okay. If they don't answer, we send somebody out. And I think it's a super, super program. So that's my report there, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Walser.
Thank you, Mayor. Business partners are here to present tonight, so I'm going to forego my reports that I've not held up all night.
Thank you. Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to report on, I attended a fundraiser Saturday night for the 8th grade class from Belmar Elementary School. After many years, they're going to take a trip down to Washington, D.C. It was something they used to do, almost 20 years ago they were doing it. It was an excellent event. I was really happy to see Mayor and Council supporting the students there. It's a very expensive proposition. Had a great time. The food was from Randall, the coffee and desserts from Stay Gold. Oh my God, chocolate covered macaroons. Even some people from Marina Grill doing the beer and wine. I want to congratulate Karen Shelton. She's the parent who did all the organization, got everything going, and wore the sparkliest dress I've ever seen in my life. Pat Rodney Band played. I got to play a little bit of music with them. That was great fun, and I really want to congratulate them on their effort. And I'm sure they're going to have a great time down in Washington, D.C. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Nicolai.
Yes, on the recreation side, they're doing Little League signups right now for baseball and softball. It's every Monday and Tuesday through February 22nd, 6 to 8:30 p.m. in the gym. So again, signups for softball and baseball. The ages are 4 through 12 for both boys and girls. The other thing is there is a bus trip for Marvel Universe Live, Age of Heroes. It's March 16th, $55 a person, and the tickets are in section 4 at the Prudential Center. Any interest, please call Borough Hall or email recreation@belmar.com. And lastly, the Arts Council has an exhibit right now called Blue. They hold it every year. It's really exciting, and it runs through February 16th over at the Arts Council. And again, please buy local. Anything you can to help our restaurants, retail shops, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to be very brief as well. So there's a little rumor that Governor Murphy offered me the position of Chief Administrator for the Motor Vehicle Commission here in the state of New Jersey. That is true, and I have respectfully declined that offer from Motor Vehicle. That's it for me. Next is public session on the resolution calendar. Any comments, questions on the resolution calendar? Please raise your hand, wait to be called on, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and then whatever comment, question you may have on just the resolution calendar. Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public session on the resolution calendar.
All in favor?
Aye. First resolution, Council President, take over.
Sure. We have here a resolution authorizing the payment of bills. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
I have to abstain on check number or PO number 93453, and the rest, yes.
Councilman Belmar?
Yes.
Thank you. Next resolution authorizing a search for 2018 lifeguards and the establishment of a selection committee along with 2018 pay rates. I'll offer this resolution.
Second?
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
No, the way it's written.
Councilman Lucifer? Or, sorry, Councilman Belmar?
Yes.
She wanted you to vote twice on that. Next, I'll offer the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
I just want to say, I'm really glad we're passing this resolution about the offshore oil and gas oil. It's the least we can do. Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Lucifer?
Yes.
Councilman Belmar?
Yes.
Next are ordinances. There are no ordinances, so we'll move to the public hearing on the Special Improvement District budget. This is the Belmar Business Partnership. So whoever, there are a few representatives from the Belmar BBP.
I have to recuse myself.
Councilman Walter is going to recuse himself.
Sit.
But whoever is going to speak on their behalf, please come to the microphone, state your name for the record, and whatever you'd like to tell us about the Belmar Business Partnership.
You have to speak kind of close to it.
Everybody hear this all right?
Oh, yes.
Okay. My name is Tom Burke. I'm one of the volunteers for the Belmar Business Partnership. We have several other of our trustees here tonight, our president, Sel Marchese, Pat Texa, John Sabia, Christine Cardolino, I believe Neil O'Reilly's back here in the back. When we get done with our short presentation, they're all available to answer questions that you may have or the audience may have.
Thanks.
The Belmar Business Partnership is an action-oriented organization of volunteers who have a mission. I put my glasses on, I can't read my own writing. Page 5 of our budget document presents our mission. It has remained unchanged since our inception in 2011. For the audience, this 25-word mission statement is, and I quote, "To foster the economic and commercial development, revitalization of the Belmar business community through private-public partnership we're charged to manage." To me, the key words in that statement are foster, or in other words, to encourage, promote, and develop. And secondly, private-public partnership, a cooperative and coordinated effort between the BVP and the Borough of Belmar. When you invest in the BVP, you are investing in the business community, which in turn benefits the whole community of Belmar. When we create and sustain strong commercial revenue base, we help keep residential property taxes from increasing. We help keep taxes from increasing. And in turn, the Belmar community supports the businesses and the BVP by shopping and dining in local. We have a win-win situation for all of us. Over the past 7 years, the BVP has made an investment in Belmar, and we're here tonight to ask for your continuing to share in this investment. Each year, the BVP trustees work together to identify some specific actions for the upcoming year. These strategic priorities for 2018 are found on page 6 of the booklet we provided you. For the audience, They're listed there. I know you probably can't read them from that distance. But in red, on each of those are 4 words. The first one is broadening. And the second statement is creating a stronger. And the third one is strengthening. And then the fourth action is expanding opportunities. These are 4 action-oriented words that would suggest a continuing effort on the part of the BVP. If we are going to continue, perhaps it would be wise to review where we are continuing from. I would like to take a look, have us take a look at a montage or a partial listing of the BVP's 7 years in promoting and development as charged in the mission statement. I gotta walk over here. If anybody can see this or not.
Just gotta stay at the microphone.
And I can't see it.
No, you want to use this microphone?
Tom, you want me to hold it?
Reach.
You want me to hold it?
I'll bring it over.
Yeah, bring it over. I can't read from that far, I'm sorry. Over the past 7 years, dozens of trash can and recyclable receptacles, welcome to Belmar signs, 5 You Are Here signs, and wayfinding signs. We provided holiday garland with bows, lights for the light poles, original and replacement expansions, seasonal banners for Art Walk, summer festivities, welcome flags, and U.S. flags, American flags. We hope to
Tom,
incorporate
Tom,
this year.
you just gotta address the council. Don't worry.
Business development, defraying the cost of dozens of awnings and business signage, providing fit-out grants to help new businesses like Retro Arcade and Big Frog, providing facade improvement grants to numerous businesses like Serenity by the Sea, JB Couture Cupcakes, 1004 Main Street, which is the old Tulipano's Tapas place, and Sensations. Numerous sidewalk benches for customers to rest and meet. In 2016, our Park It Here campaign provided over 15 bike racks to help promote an alternative to parking while shopping in the Central Business District. In addition to the 24 bike racks for the Central Business District and Route 71 businesses were installed in 2013 and 14. We paid for a significant portion of the bucket truck in 2015. Under branding and marketing, we created and maintain a website, a Facebook presence, and for BVP and cruise nights, Billboard on the Turnpike in 2015, promoting Belfar as a fun and family destination. Developed and sponsored a video promotion of Belmar reaching over 500,000 people. Engaged in numerous media promotions to help stimulate business. Under retail programs, it's a new committee we have this year. We have cruise nights, which is ever increasing popularity, bringing hundreds to Main Street. Our Kite Festival, which happens to be on the cover of the Shop Mama, this magazine that's just coming out. That's held on 5th Avenue on the beachfront into its 5th year. And last year we started an event called the Pirate Walk. In prior years, we have supported the Borough Employee of the Month with $100,000 of Belmar shopping and eating. We continue to co-sponsor the Art Walk, and have co-sponsored the pro surfing events. I think you'll see that we've been pretty busy over the past 7 years to spend, a lot of money. We think we spend it wisely. This past year, we spent over $40,000 on the planters and plantings and the Christmas decorations along Main Street and in the plaza. Our work is not yet done. Okay? The booklet that we presented to you outlines many of our planned activities for this year. In addition to the 4 committees mentioned in the booklet, we also have an organization committee. One task of that committee is the responsibility to aid in the coordination, both internally and externally, of the various community events and activities that relate to the business community. To that end, this year, we created for the first time a calendar or guide of BBP activities and community events. This guide, in addition to being a useful reference to help BBP mindful of our mission statement, action of fostering of the private-public partnership that we share with various road departments. Can we do, Joey, put up page 3?
You want me to bring it closer?
You have that in your booklet, but it's a nice little guide that we hope people can understand. We'll read it up to the wall. As you can see, if you're looking at those guidelines, with the approval of our budget request, there will be a bevy of public and private activities aimed toward meeting our mission, and we think the goals of the help the goals of the borough. So based on all the presented here in the booklet, the Belmar Business Partnership respectfully requests for 2018 funding as outlined on page 15 of our request document. So if you have any questions, I'm sure we will be here to help.
That's great. Before we open up to the public, questions from the members of council for Mr. Burke?
Yeah, just a couple questions, Tom. With the plantings that you planted along Main Street, they're live plantings, correct? Who's responsible for maintaining them? The businesses, the BBP, or the DPW? I mean, or is it a cooperation?
It's a cooperative thing. Last year, the BBP worked in conjunction. We helped pay for, I think, the person who went around watering them and deadheading them and what have you.
Yes, watering and deadheading is good, but is there any way the BBP can get the merchants who are closest to those plantings, maintain them? Because nothing really sends out a bad message than when you have this planting and it's dead. You know, and that happened to some. So I mean, I don't know if it's up to. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Pat, you gotta come to the.
Oh, sorry.
Name that, or name it.
I couldn't hear
You
Tom.
gotta state your name for the record.
Patricia Texer. I own Establish Non-Scientific Clothing, on Main Street. I'm also, this past summer, I was appointed a trustee on the BBP. The mic doesn't work, I know I speak loud enough. To the best of my knowledge, we paid money to the Public Works to do the deadheading and everything else because, this is to the best of my knowledge, I don't know if I'm wrong, because I'm still new to this. And it was in our best interest to pay Public Works to do this because not every business owner is on board, not all of them are there all the time. Some of them have employees there. Then it's a fight over, it's not my bucket, it's your bucket. So we just decided that paying Public Works to do this would be sufficient enough. And the winter plantings don't have to be watered. They're just there. They're just, in fact, we're going to store them at some point for next year. So
The winter plantings look real good, but I know during the summer, just planting them there's got to be some type of maintenance, probably much more than what our guys can concentrate on.
Okay, well, maybe we could look into that further, but I do agree with you that you could get some of the business, like me, I'd be willing to work on the one outside my store, but that's not always the case. And I'm making this up, I'm not picking on anybody when I say this, but if you've got a planting outside a big business near the corner of 8th and Main, it's whoever works that day. How do you distribute, how do you distribute that to business owners and how do you tell them? That's why we offered to pay. If I've answered any questions or, we could look into it further though as to how to rectify some of your.
Yeah, I would like to see the merchants be more responsible with maintaining the plantings outside their business.
I absolutely agree.
We've tried to do in the past and it just hasn't worked. It just hasn't worked. It's easier for us to take some of the money that you give us and put it back to the door and have them move.
I think unfortunately what it results in is inconsistency along Main Street.
Yeah.
And so You know, we felt if we were gonna do this, we wanted to do it really well. We wanted to have as much possible vibrant, overflowing buckets of flowers. And it was our first year, I think we did pretty well. Learned a bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, look forward to trying to make it better this year.
And you have the equipment to carry that much water around, up and down Main Street every day.
The water's not everything. The stakeholders, how do they get the information of their assessments? You know, do you send out something to each business owner? I mean, this booklet that you sent to us is great and super, but do the businesses that pay the money get something similar, or that they're up to speed, they know what's going on?
Each year, we have an annual stakeholders meeting. It's coming up February 27th.
Is it well attended?
Not necessarily well attended, it's reasonably attended. Most of the stakeholders, I guess, take it for granted that we're doing a good job of what we do. As far as the assessments, that's something that's done by the borough, and the BVP really has nothing to do with it. It's established, I think, by ordinance, as to how much people are assessed. Any other?
You know, I just, looking at your calendar, and I'm just curious, one of the things I really like that you're doing is you're using social media very effectively. You're using email chains and a lot of stuff on Facebook and Twitter. And I'm curious what your response is as far as the St. Patrick's Day storefront decorating contest. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It's the first attempt at it, and Pat organized this, we'll let her talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah. Patricia Taxa, I own the Establishment Nonsense 903 Main Street. This is the new committee that was formed, the Retail Promotions Committee, I was made chair of, and this is new out of the gate January 1st. So also new out of the gate is trying to put some energy into the business owners and let's all collaborate together. So it was my idea to have a window decorating, storefront window decorating contest for various holidays. St. Patty's Day being the first, July 4th, and then possibly Christmas, with something like a scarecrow contest in the fall. Out of the gate, there were emails sent. I personally walked around to at least, between me and my niece who helps me out, it's about 70 businesses with paper. And the BVP mailed out bullets at least 3 times informing everybody on our mailing list about this, okay? I've extended the deadline because a little bit of what happened was the deadline for the free registration was February 6th, and some people thought you had any decorations up by February 6th. And that was just to register to tell us. So we extended the deadline till February 14th. Because we're hoping to have it done before Parade Day, so we'll, look ready for Parade Day. With that said, it's free to register. You don't have to commit to anything. You're just going to tell us who you are and that you want to be in this contest. Now, out of the gate, we've got 4 applications. Okay, this is out of the gate. The first place winner will get a $100 gift certificate to any business in Belmar of their choosing. Okay, we're keeping it within Belmar. And second place winner will get a $25 gift certificate of their choosing, and then we'll do a press release with a picture. Hopefully, out of the gate, that this will spark enough interest that the next time around we'll get a little more. Okay, and right now that's all I have for you. I can't expect a lot in 4 weeks. No. But that's all the information I have for you right now.
Thank you.
All right. And I am one of the judges, but if some of you know, I also do beautiful windows, so I do have a.
She doesn't mean storefront.
Yeah, I do a mean storefront, so I can be one of the judges, and thank you.
It's like cruise night last year was a lot different than it was the first year. The Kite Festival last year was a lot bigger than it was the first year. It just takes time for these things to grow, and you have to start somewhere. I think that adding the program committee this year is going to be a great help in trying to get more energy on Main Street.
I think it's a great idea. I think putting your focus on something like that is a really good idea.
if I may?
Oh, yeah, sure, just come up to the microphone, say your name.
John Savia, Chair of Marketing and owner of Social Ties. Thank you for having me. So one thing I want to discuss is our social media marketing efforts. Because one thing we did this year, or last 2 years really, was really get an upgrade. We gave it some life. And the goal, what I say, is that social media is like a handshake to the internet. So basically what I want to do is I want to get out to the streets. I want to build the community we have of fellow business owners and have them know that we're around. I want to get right to their face and say, hey, I'm John from DDP, this is what we're doing. We have a great program where you give $40 to market your business. And then we have another program, it's a $350 value, where I come out, I shoot video, I do a bio video of their store, what they do, how long they've been here, really build a culture, build a voice or a presence or a brand, right, for the Belmar businesses. We bring it all together, we put it on our Facebook pages, we do more marketing, and we've seen stuff with like the Kite Festival. We did a event page on that, if you're familiar with event pages. We did an event page on that, and we reached, oh wow, we reached thousands and thousands of people in a day. And we had the biggest turnout that we've ever had, I think. So very happy with that. So we really want to work on building that and also our website. We're going to build a website that can be a hub for information. So people need to know who we are, what we're doing more, we feel. And we're going to do that, it's my side, we do that through social media marketing and just really build that presence for everybody. And so when they have questions, they know where to go. They know who to talk to. We're going to do bio videos of all. I'm telling you guys, we're going to bio videos of all of you. So you're going to do the bio videos. And you're going to know who we are, and so you're going to understand who to go to when you have questions, and we're going to know that we can be a big asset and help Belmar the best we can. So I just want to say thank you.
If there's nothing else from the council, I'll open it up to public comments, particularly from the business owners that may be here. You okay, Sal? I think George is here. Give you mouth to mouth. Sal, you live?
No, thank you.
All right, well, seeing no one wants to make comment, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the Special Improvement District budget. Is there a second?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll move for adoption,
Adoption.
the Special Improvement District budget for 2018.
I'll second
Councilman Brennan?
that. Aye.
Councilwoman Nicolay?
Yes.
Mayor Doherty?
Aye.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes.
That concludes our special hearing for public, for the Special Improvement District budget. So next is public session. Very simple. Raise your hand when you call on, come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and speak about whatever you'd like pertaining to borough business for 5 minutes. Anyone for public comment? Yes, sir.
Belmar Council, 219 Second Avenue. I'm glad that Councilman McGovern and our administrator have taken consideration in the appearance of the plant material on Main Street. I just have a question. 2 years ago, trees were planted on Main Street. They died instantly. What was the background on that? Did the contractor just fail?
I believe what you're referring to are trees that were planted in accordance with the Main Street Escape project. The contractor needs to replace those trees, and they will be doing so in the course of the contract.
Our engineer, when she identified which ones did, and I think the problem was they planted them too deep, and then when they filled it in, it sank even more, so they were
Yeah,
too...
you and I had a discussion on it, and that was 3 planting seasons ago. Why did they stay, why did they stay planted? Why didn't they just fill in the holes? We had dead trees for 1.5 years, and that wasn't replaced. And it's nothing against the DPW. This is a union contractor that installed these, and we had an issue for 3 growing seasons. Why would you leave that on your Main Street?
Anything else you want to talk about?
Just answers. Is this just a one?
Sure, give you your answer. It's all you to be handled in the
Why
course of
wouldn't
the
they replace
contract.
them and let it sit there for 1.5 years? I mean, we were just complaining about some deadheading and dried out plant material on Main Street. Don't you think it's a concern that our Main Street has these trees for 1.5 years, almost 2 years now, or actually it'll be 2 years? Have they just been sitting there?
it's
Do
not.
you know when they'll be replaced?
I-
Can you answer on that?
It'll be completed within the course of the contract.
And when is that contract?
Hopefully be done by the summer.
Okay. By summer, we'll have new trees and all
You
the
should, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Just came into my mind. The Shade Tree Commission built, what we did last year is we purchased a number of gator bags. Because one of the problems with those trees, I think, why they died is if people were watering them, they were just watering the trees instead of putting the water in a gator bag and allowing it to drip and stay moist.
That was part of their contract to maintain them for a
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, but so the Shade Tree Commission did go out and buy some gator bags, and when they do get replaced this year, we plan on going around and putting the gator bags on those trees and then watering the bag, which should.
Well, wouldn't that be under the contractor's obligation? I mean, that's what it is.
I don't think that was ever contracted to have a gator bag on it, I think.
But maintenance
But
was.
you-
So that's
Yes,
part
I
of
mean,
it.
you know better than I think they do the importance of
So
a gator bag. is
Are we
important.
gonna implement the contractor to maintain them this time? Well, actually, A, properly install them, and B, maintain them.
Well, they install them, I don't think they maintain them.
It's part
Once
of
the
the
contractor is
contract.
done,
1 year maintenance.
1 year maintenance, it's not
Yeah.
gonna be there for 10 years maintaining them.
No, the 1 year is all we're asking for. You can order them throughout the
Yeah.
year. And you can.
That makes
so
me happy,
we're-
we'll make sure they
so
do it
we're-
for 1 year.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to close the public session and adjourn our meeting.
Second.
So,